Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Sister Science Stories. I have my friend Dolly Gill with me today. And Dolly and I met a few years ago, probably this time of year in the autumn, and she was joining the Year of You. And I don't want to give you guys too much detail here, but being with Dolly and watching the transformation and expansion over her life over the last couple of years has been absolutely incredible. She's one of my favorite people in the whole world, and I'm so excited to have this conversation. So, Miss Dolly, welcome.
Thank
And
you.
very first question to you is tell us what brought you into this Sister Science Year of You world.
I had been searching for something. I guess I just put words recently to what I actually was feeling during one of our Atlas of the Heart sessions this week. An emotion that I hadn't really experienced and it's not familiar to me, and that's overwhelm. My father had passed away. My family was dealing with the grief in a totally different way than I was. The impact, I guess, which I have since learned is completely personal, was so different for me. And I lost my champion and my hero. And I was going through the motions, going to work, doing all the things, but I would come home and just lay on the couch and everything felt totally too much for me. And I just didn't know where I was headed and what was next. And I'd never experienced any kind of loss to that degree. And I was scrolling through Facebook one day and I stumbled upon an advertisement for a Jill Novak trip. I think it was one of your yoga retreats or Year of You retreats. And I was like, oh, I wonder who this is and what that's about. And it got me on a bit of a research journey. And I was really impressed with the fact that you were from Cochrane and local to where I was living. And I was like, how does this possibly exist? I started reading on the website about what the Year of You was about. And it felt like it filled my cup, like it was something I needed. And then there was a book, A Call with Jill, and we had that first call where you were explaining to me what the program was about, and I was sharing my story with you. And I had always worked remotely. For the last 17 years, I was working in remote camps on construction sites with a bunch of men. And I had convinced myself that it was totally acceptable to do this for the sake of the money, that I was going to put the rest of my life on hold. And in my mind, when I turned 55, I'd be able to retire and do what I really wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I had convinced myself that this was a total reasonable goal and this was completely acceptable. And I remember our first conversation when you said, I think you need to think about this and have a conversation with yourself and listen to what you've said as your best friend and tell you if you'd be okay if your best friend told you that this was where they were meant to be. And I was like, huh, that's interesting. But I just started, and I think when you started talking to me about Ayurveda and the doshas and how everything is so individual, and yet we still have categories and classifications, but the fact that it spoke to me that not everyone is exactly identical, that it's okay that everyone's a little bit of everything, that makes us all individuals. And where when you go to the doctor or you go wherever and it's all one size fits all, that everybody's the same, but the fact that you could look at yourself from a perspective of me as an individual. I mean, I've been on a weight loss journey my entire life. And I remember that was a big part of me coming to you because when I was reading a little bit about this, that there was the possibility of adapting a healthy lifestyle. And yes, that's a big piece of it. And have I mastered that yet? No, but it's coming. But it was the fact that I'm an individual and I need different things. And
Mhm.
yet there's this community of people around me that I've now been introduced to, that we can share our experiences and go on this journey through life and year of you and discuss all these different nuggets of things. And through those influences, I continuously, my, I don't know, my world is just brightened every single time that we have a conversation. All of our calls that we had throughout the year of you, I was searching for something, and the opportunity to discuss it with others and hear their perspectives. And you go, oh, I can relate to that. Or, oh, that's what those people were going through when I heard about that scenario. I didn't understand, and I didn't give them the right empathy, or I didn't have the tools to listen to others because I just didn't have them. And throughout this entire journey, for me, it's been about learning about myself and putting myself first, but also about learning about those around me and having a whole new understanding of how others live their lives and how things that don't impact me impact them. I
Yeah.
have a whole new appreciation.
You've said some amazing things in there. First of all, it's one of my favorite tricks in the world to make people listen to their own words as your best friend, because sometimes we convince ourselves and tell ourselves things that your best friend would go, "You're gonna what?" Like, yeah. And I also never remember those sort of, I think it's always funny when some phrase that I say sticks in someone's mind because often that phrase didn't stick in mine. Um, so many things the first year really stood out for me. They were almost little mini catalysts in your journey. And I remember one where you learned to ask for what you needed. And it was around having house guests. And it was like the normal, like, no, no, you guys, like whatever you like, make yourselves at home, da 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 da. And the juxtaposition between that and your inner feelings, and then the idea of actually telling house guests, hey guys, here's a few rules. Can you tell us that story?
So, I mean, I guess that's one of the key components. I mean, there's so many ways that the year of you and the influence have impacted my life. It's incredible. But that particular situation is I was annoyed. I had these people visiting, they'd taken over my house. They'd asked me what my rules were before they got there, but I was like, I don't have rules, just be kind and clean up after yourself. Pretty easy around here. And here they were pushing all my buttons and all these things were happening and they're people I don't really know and they totally took over my house. And I was furious and like holding it all in. But I started thinking about some of the things we'd learned throughout this, and I thought, they don't know they're upsetting me like this. It's not like anybody comes to the table every morning and says, how am I going to get you today? But I never had the ability in the past to really put words to that. You get all yourself all upset about certain situations, but nobody, I think, I mean, there might be the odd, random, weird one, but the majority of people, that's not their motivation. And so when they had gone away for the weekend and I thought about it and instead of reacting like I normally would have in the past, where I would have let it go and go and go and blown my top and had a total negative situation, I was able to literally think about it, formulate what my triggers were, what were the issues that I was having, and I sat them down and I said, "Your dad asked me what the rules were going to be when you were here, and I didn't have the ability to articulate that. But now that I've spent a week with you, these are my rules, and this is what this house runs like. And going forward, for us to get along for the remainder of your holiday, you need to follow these rules." And they were like, "Oh, okay." And suddenly, the rest of the week, it was calm. And I actually enjoyed having them there. And it was good because I put myself first. I stood up for myself and I talked to people. And I think that's one of the things that we learn so much about this is when you internalize, you're just hurting yourself. You're not, and then in the end, you're regretting the interaction that you have. But I definitely can say that through the year of you journey and all of the different things that we learned in the Body Thrive book and just conversations with each other, it totally gave me the tools to deal with that situation in a far more productive manner that didn't leave me feeling bad and beating myself up about it for the next year.
Okay, so I want to springboard off that. So, one of the things that happened to you through the year of you is that you found a new way to articulate your voice and to not only ask for what you need when you had guests in your house, but advocate within your work surroundings. So, all of a sudden, you are saying things about, where you might want to go in your job and talk to me about the changes you've experienced once you started opening your mouth and telling people what you thought you might want in your career.
So a lot of I guess when you start reading some of the year of you principles, they start talking about your life's purpose. And I remember the very first website talked about your life's purpose. And I was fully convinced, as I said before, that my life's purpose was to retire at 55 and then do things that made a difference that would impact the world. Um, so I've been playing with that terminology because I think in our society now, we think we have to have this huge purpose, this impact. And I've learned over the years that my impact might only need to, and my making a difference might only need to impact one person a day. Maybe it's just a little thing, and that's okay. I don't have to solve world hunger to make an impact and be a productive member of society who was had value being on this earth. So as I was going through the whole process of learning about myself and trying to put my own life plan into play and listening as my best friend to what I might actually want out of life, um, I was struggling to fully articulate it, but I thought, okay, my semi retirement thing will be that I'm going to move to the city and work at the home office. And and yet at the same time, I could hear myself constantly saying to people like, yeah, I've been living this life in construction for a long time. I want to put down roots. I want to have a home. I want to have a normal life like other people. And I don't think I'm ready for it, but I really want that. And then there was an opportunity when the general manager of our Calgary office was coming to site. And I said, I'm picking her up because I need to have a conversation with her. I need to make that connection so she knows who I am. Because someday I'm going to want that job. I know the job that I want, and I need to talk to her about that. So I made sure it was me who picked her up, and I had a conversation. And we had a great ride and really connected, and it was a lot of fun. And I told her how someday I would like this particular job in the Calgary office, and not anytime soon because I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at, but this is something I want. And interestingly enough, it wasn't very much longer. It was like 3 or 4 months later. I get this, my boss called me into his office to say that these people in the Calgary office wanted to talk to me. And I was like, really? I'm not ready for that. You can't be serious. I'm not, that job's not where I want to be. I need to finish up here and need to do this. And he said, I think you need to talk to them. The right people are involved in this conversation and you need to do it. And so it developed that I was being offered a role in the Calgary office. And it's funny how all of a sudden my walls came up, and I don't do change very well. And I was just like, no, I don't like, I'm going, but begrudgingly, like this is not what I want. And it's interesting. And now that I've had a lot of time to reflect on it, how I put out there what I wanted. I asked the right people for what I wanted. And then when they're serving it up to me on a platter, I'm like, no, not in, not doing it. And I remember I actually booked a call with you, Jill, and I'm like, what do I need to do right now? Like, I feel like I'm put up against a wall. This isn't where I want to go. I'm not ready for this. And I was telling myself all these stories about how this isn't where I needed to be. And this went on for quite a while. And I came and started the new job. And the first day, when you look at my badge picture, I keep it just for the reminder, I was miserable. I wasn't sleeping. The transition was not what I wanted, blah, 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 blah. And, I was in that job for about 6 hours and the smile came back on my face. And truthfully, it hasn't left. Like now, it didn't take me very long to fully embrace it and love what happened. I've now created this life that I wanted, that I said I wanted, that I said I was putting on hold. I have I work in this great role of influence and involvement. I am well respected. I've since moved 5 minutes to the office and found what my boss describes for me as the perfect house for me, which it truly is. I have an incredible group of friends. I now am living that day-to-day life that I said I wanted in retirement. And my heart is full, honestly. And it's just so crazy when you think about it, how I was so opposed and I was like digging in my feet, and yet I got exactly what I asked for. And I don't think my life, like my heart is not heavy any day.
Mm.
Like everyone else, I struggle to get up in the morning some days. But man, oh man, am I grateful for what I have. And I just can't wait for tomorrow to see what's going to come. Like, I truly believe that by identifying what I wanted, by putting myself first, by verbalizing it and asking the universe for what I wanted, like, holy man, did it deliver? Because I got exactly what I wanted.
Yeah. I remember the conversation that we had when you were mad that you got what you wanted and you hadn't got it, like it hadn't come to fruition, but you were about to get what you wanted. And I feel like the biggest piece that we were talking about at that time was watch the old story. Like, watch how all the old story is coming up. And there's a lot of fear there, and there's a lot of patterning. And
Mm-hmm.
it almost feels like a magnet that I've just heard this analogy recently, and I love it. This, like you're trying to peel yourself away from this magnetic attraction to this old pattern. And in peeling yourself away, there's resistance and there's like fight happening. And
Mm-hmm.
as you allowed yourself to watch the story and ask yourself questions and be your best friend, and you had to continue to go in and get more clarity. So the more you
Yes.
sort of allowed yourself to ask questions and get clarity and ask questions and get clarity, you could soothe that old fear pattern that was like, don't change, don't change, don't change, don't change. But I feel like the biggest thing you did differently was that you responded to your old pattern differently.
It did. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am a creature of habit, big time. I mean, we all have our learned ways, and to have the ability to focus on something that's uncomfortable, to allow it to manifest, to really look at the pattern and the path forward and what the end result might be. And the universe will provide. We ask, like, take those opportunities. The answer needs to be yes. Like
Yeah.
literally, the answer needs to be yes, because if it isn't quite perfect, you can always tweak the journey.
Mm.
But to remind ourselves to accept those things that are provided and just say yes, take a chance, because honestly, when one door closes, another opens, and you never know what's on the other side. Like I just can't give more words to it than that. I mean, it's unreal, the journey that's there.
So, for Ayurvedic context for our listeners, I'm going to tell you that Dolly is our kapha, grounded woman. She has earth and water. And when you hear her tell a story of, opening a door or taking a chance, like that's something that people who have high vata in their lives, um, that happens every single day for them. They're always doing something new and, changing and everything like that. But for a kapha to bring that change and big change, moving cities, moving jobs, moving like everything had to change. Your wardrobe had to change. You got a pet. So it was an uprooting. And in order to follow this longing inside of you, in order to follow the vision in your head, which is the Vata piece of you, the Vata piece of you that says, go pick up this woman. You tell her that eventually you want this job. That's that sort of creative force. And we know you have fire. We know you have the passion and the tenacity and vision of fire. And so they were working, they were colluding in their best possible way to move this earth, and they did. And when you are in best balance is when you're always going to be grounded. You're always going to be just like 2 feet on the ground, pretty steady in your emotional state, which is why at the beginning you could also say I'm not overwhelmed often, which is also something not a lot of people can say. But yeah, you found this place of balance where you found enough movement, found enough heat and fire to move Earth, and you did. Yeah, like literally, you moved.
It's unreal the change for somebody who hates change. I mean, this whole that transition invited a complete upheaval of my life. I mean, financially, where I was physically located, like you said, I have to wear suits every day, and I'm sitting at this imposing desk that has backlighting. Like, who decided this psych girl who wears jeans and sweatshirts should do this? Like, this is nuts. And people walk in and go, oh my gosh, this is where you are. I'm so happy to see you. And what are you doing behind this desk? It, it's
we
obscene.
we found an analogy for you one day when we were speaking, and if anyone has seen the series Suits, Dolly is Donna.
Oh, yeah.
Don't mean anything to anyone who hasn't seen the series, but if you've seen the series, now you know the power of this woman. She is Donna. Yeah. You said at the very beginning that there was a piece that was around, shifting weight. And I'm usually really clear with people that I don't ever, that's not an issue that I tackle. If that shifts and changes in your life, then it does. What have you found around your belief system around that piece as you've gone on this journey?
Weight and my overall physical appearance has always been there. I've always been heavy. I've always had a weight issue. I've been on all kinds of eat this, get slim quick plans and never really, yeah, I'd get thin, but I wouldn't actually conquer the issue. And, that's still an issue for me, but now it's shifted in a lot of ways. One is that I give myself space and understanding, and I don't beat myself up the same way that I do when I eat something I shouldn't or when I fall off the wagon or what have you. It's just not an issue. And it's not become It's not the focus that it once was. I used to spend so much time focusing on my weight and thinking about this and eating these proper meals in this way and really allowing it to consume me. Where now, if anything, it's more about I want to be healthier. I want to, I feel better when I move more. I've been able to notice how my body is affected when I do some of these things. When I have a huge binge, I notice how it makes my body feel. I notice how it impacts my sleep at night. I notice how I feel the next day. And through noticing, it allows me at times to say, you know what, that's not the right path for me because I need to show up or I need to do this. I've noticed that if I drink more water, I don't have joint pain.
Mm.
So through the year of you, we talk about doing special experiments on ourselves to actually spend time noticing and paying attention to how the environment, how things that we do, how our activities affect us. So I drink more water, not because somebody told me I need to drink 8 glasses a day, but because if my knees are sore, then I drink more water and they're not sore. Or because if I eat more vegetables, I just feel better. And, I know we're getting into cleanse season and I've been trying to decide whether that's something I want to do. And I need to bring myself. I've had a good summer. I did a lot of fun stuff. I was at all the concerts. I drank all the beer. I did all the things. But now it's time for me to actually pull myself in. I've started talking about how I am now living in the city all the time and have the opportunity to do all these things that I have to start saying no sometimes. I can't do everything. And the same goes with me, who has totally gone off the wagon. I gave myself the summer to really enjoy, but it's time to rein myself in. I need to get back to those habits that we learned in the year of you that really are so intuitive, and yet we're not, it's not intuitive for us. When you go to bed early and you get up early, you feel better and you're rested through the day. If you stop eating at 6 or 6:30, then you don't feel crappy and it doesn't impact your sleep. All these things that we've learned. I mean, I was telling you about my allergy issue during Stampede. So, one of the habits through the year of you and following Kate Stillman's 10 habits is that you look after your senses. And so, Jill gifts you a neti pot and you talk about how to use it. Well, I stopped using it because I was busy having a good time, and I had this huge allergy flare up. Like, literally, I couldn't get it under control. I go to the doctor, and you know what? I have met this fabulous doctor. What does she give me? Basically, a mechanized fancy neti pot. So if I just used my habits and followed the things that I've learned, I wouldn't have had this couple of weeks of discomfort if I just like I it's crazy to me how you learn these things, but that's the part. You notice. You bring yourself back, you don't beat yourself up, and you move forward. Like to give yourself a break. That's one of the hugest things that I've learned is to acknowledge that maybe it didn't go the way you wanted, or maybe something wasn't quite right about what you did. And then you shift, but you don't keep beating yourself over it. And
Yeah.
that has been a huge shift in the way that I respond since we started this journey.
We have almost like a known rule that we will start making all these changes and they'll be feeling good. And but we don't really, because they're slow and because they're subtle, we might not be giving ourselves credit for the changes. We don't actually ever know how significant our changes are that we've been making until we fall off the wagon. And it's in the fall off the wagon and whatever sort of old soupy pattern we fall into that we go, oh my God, those little things I was doing over there were totally helping. But it's usually in the fall off. But even in the allergy story you just shared, now you have this very visceral knowledge of when that sensation happens in your body again before it gets to the full-blown takedown allergy, you're going to have your neti pot out. So in the end, it's just like the tool became more, you became more aware of when and how you're going to utilize that tool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, can we talk about your dog?
Sure.
Because there was something in the I'm gonna wait and I'm not gonna really live life until I retire. And then I'm gonna buy a van and get a dog. And you also didn't wait on that one. And so talk to that decision to, yeah, talk to that decision.
So I was in a unique position the last couple of years while I was on site is that the company had actually relocated me to a small community where I had the ability to not be in a camp, but to have a home. And my sister had these puppies that came available, and I was like, nope, doesn't fit into my life. Someday I'll be able to have a dog. Someday that will be a reality for me. But this isn't right for me. And she kept bringing it up, and the stars aligned. And suddenly I I talked to her about it, and I said, listen, if I take one of these puppies, like what if I get myself in a jam? What if I can't look after him? What if all these other things? And I said, will you help me? And she said she would. And so I agreed to get a puppy who has brought me so much. He's also eaten everything, but we're working through that. But he has brought me so much. He pushes me to go out for a walk. He's a reason for me to get up and get out and do things. He's the reason I bought this house that has a great yard that I'm going to love and enjoy as well. And he's just brought so much to my life. And yet again, it was something I felt I needed to wait on because it wasn't responsible, because it wasn't this or that. And I had all these stories that I was telling myself about why this wasn't going to work for me. And I've always loved dogs. I've always wanted a dog. And I had them when I was younger and I made it work. And now we totally have the life where I can have a dog. I mean, it was sort of like one of the initial seeds, but now I live 5 minutes from work so that I can come home at lunch if I need to and be with my dog. And just allowing myself that gift
Mhm.
and to learn what love is about all the time and be reminded of having someone waiting for you when you get home. I mean, it's been so fulfilling. And why not say yes sometimes?
You've been really articulate right now in speaking to the idea of the stories in your head and of the noticing, and how you've been on a journey now of the noticing piece is your ability to be there is greater, and the noticing is offering you a reflection on the story and a possible new opportunity. So I think as we go through life, we're always going to have stories, always, always, always. And yet there's something around, like yoga says, become the witness of your own life and spend some time sort of backing away from being so consumed by it that you actually get to see it and then allow that to help inform you. So, can you, I don't know, show me, talk to the difference between the story and the noticing and how that relationship is in you?
I am filled with all kinds of internal stories, as we all are, based on our upbringing, based on our environment, based on our past experiences. And I think for me, the response to things was such a learned, like it was such an ingrained response where something would happen, I would respond with anger or fear or whatever the situation might be. Respond to a story that I've now been able to stand back and go, wait a minute, that's my perspective of the moment. That's not really what's happening here. To allow myself to be the third party. And I also noticed that I'm able to stand back and actually manage my behavior in the moment instead of respond the way I would have. Um, I had a situation uh, a year or so ago where I was trying to input my knowledge and wisdom onto someone else, and they backed off and didn't want anything to do with it. And I didn't really understand at the time because my motivation was completely positive. Like I was trying to help them, I wanted to help them. And I didn't think they were getting my point, and I was getting more and more aggressive around how I was presenting the information. And to the point where now that person doesn't want to be in my life anymore. And it's giving me a real opportunity to stand back and say, okay, just because that's my story doesn't mean that's their story. And sometimes I just need to give them space to listen and be there to listen, to ask permission if I'm going to give my opinion, to make sure that I'm not inflecting, I don't know if that's a word, but I'm not presenting what I think has happened to me and putting my story on them. I think I've really noticed that I got a lot more empathy for others, that I give other people time to present their on their situation. I stand back and hear what they have to say, and I don't say, "Oh yeah, I know all about that because this happened to me and that happened to me." I hold back when I'm talking to them. I let them tell me how they're feeling. I don't try to relate in the same way. I Where my previous way would have been to jump in with a similar story of my own. Now I give space for their thoughts and hear what they have to say and give less of my story and allow them to share theirs. And it's still a work in progress. I'm learning how to articulate new feelings with the Atlas of the Heart journey that we're on now. Um, but going through the yamas and the niyamas, is that right? Um,
Mhm.
and going on that journey, spending the time to actually think about your emotions, think about your journey, think about how situations impact you or what your past experiences were, and really analyze them so that you can learn from how that reaction or that situation unfolded so that next time you can do a better job. And it's just this constant journey of self-reflection, but it's not, I don't find it strenuous. You're literally just, as things happen, you're changing your view of it and
Yeah.
changing your interactions with others. I really see that as a huge shift in myself.
Can you, and I know like when we do the yamas and niyamas, people come to the call every week with their reflection. And so I have heard you come to the calls in the yamas and niyamas, and you will speak about an incident or an event where um, I'm at a place where I didn't want to go, and I had all these assumptions about what other people would be thinking about me, or why I was there, or why I wasn't there, or all the things, and how you can apply that same space, that same noticing of the story, and give that same grace and compassion to yourself that you've just told us that you're now able to give to others. Um, I mean, in the end, I feel like that's how this works, is that we maybe it's learning how to give it to others so that we can give it to ourselves. Maybe it's learning how to give it to ourselves so we can give it to others, but there's something there that is almost like the underlying principle of this whole process.
I would 100% agree with you. I have always been the person, like, I remember not sleeping a whole night because when I got sweatshirts engraved or embroidered for people at work, somebody said, "Oh, didn't you put this on it?" And I didn't. And they were already distributed and handed out, but I didn't sleep for a whole night because I was worried that somebody thought that I didn't do it right. And that how could I miss that? And how could I have looked at it this way? And why didn't I think of that? And oh my gosh. And I didn't sleep the whole night. Where now I'd be like, oh, okay, well,
Mm,
whatever. That's what you get. You know, I have definitely learned to notice, take the lesson, and move on.
mm,
Like that has been so huge for me to not sit there and beat myself with a stick over and over and over again about why didn't I do it like this and how did I miss that and I should have done it like this and I should have done that. It's more take the lesson, accept it, spend a bit of time contemplating it, but accept it for what it was and learn it. You know, so many times what we spend days and days beating ourselves up over. I always think, like, in 5 years, you're not even remember this happened in most circumstances. If you're not going to remember that this happened, if tomorrow this isn't a big deal, oh well. Like at work, I do something dumb, I own it. I go to my boss and I'm like, I just did this and I don't know what to do. And I'm so upset about it. And he goes, okay, well, I can see that you've beat yourself up about it more than I'm going to. So that's good. Let's move on. It's okay. Like there was something I was like, oh my gosh, the world's gonna end. Look how I handled this. And you know what? Nothing happened. It was fine. And so often, all of this stuff, like, okay, I ate the wrong thing. Did I enjoy it? Did I like it? Did it give me pleasure in the moment? Okay, then own it and be glad about it. Did I eat something and now I feel disgusting and I can't sleep and I'm gonna wake up in the morning and I didn't sleep well? Okay, that was dumb and it sucked, and I'm gonna not do that or try not to do that tomorrow.
you will. Maybe not tomorrow,
Yeah,
but next year, because
yeah.
I do. I do too. Like I will, yeah. Dolly, when some people come into this course, they're definitely at a spot where they're choosing a new path of healing. And when you and I were chatting right before this, I said, I don't know that that's what it was. And you said this, I said, I don't, some people come here for that, in quotes, healing word. And you said it was more a path of self discovery and enrichment. And can you speak to that?
I would say that this continues to be a journey of self-discovery and enrichment. I mean, from an enrichment point, like, my life is so much fuller, and it continues to grow, and I keep building on that by all of these different interactions and continuing to ask those questions and being open to the responses that come out of them. I mean, our conversations on our weekly calls, I've always said they're my favorite part of the week because truthfully, it's such a rare opportunity to get to sit down with a group of like minded people and explore things that make our lives better, that make us better people, that allow us to really see how others are being impacted by the world around us and how we're being impacted. I mean, at what point in life do you ever get a chance to sit down and go, okay, this is how that situation made me feel, and this is what I'm learning from that? I mean, it forces us to articulate these things that we would never normally discuss. And I think it's just like you continue to build on it. You start small. And I mean, at first, it's uncomfortable when we get asked to contribute and asked to be part of a conversation. But then it becomes so fulfilling. And when you can actually sit down and talk about these things and chew on stuff for a while and understand how it's continuing to evolve our lives. I mean, I was saying how what a wonderful gift it would be to have experienced all of this stuff and take when you're 85 and look at what your journey was like, but then as a young person be able to fully own that and start at that level because it's a journey. All of this is a journey, and opening your heart to it and your mind and being willing to listen to yourself and to others and continuing to evolve as a person, like, what an incredible gift.
I loved that you said the phrase chew on stuff for a while because Ayurveda is built on the premise that when you have good digestion, no dis-ease can take place in your body. And so the way you're talking is that you're coming to these calls and you're digesting life experiences. And as we give ourselves time to reflect, to stew, to digest, to ruminate, and then we speak them out loud and we just, like we clear up, we clean up life's experiences and we are coming into a regular pattern of digesting. And
Mhm.
when we digest life's experiences, it doesn't leave gunk in our body. It leaves us feeling lighter and more expansive and more ready to take in more and to allow ourselves to sort of consume more of life. And I feel like the conversation that we've just had, you highlighted that as you started letting yourself digest life, and as you created space to um, let old things go that weren't serving you and bring in new things that would serve you, that life gets bigger. Um, be interested, pay attention, explore, and do it now. You told me that was sort of like your new mantra in life.
Absolutely. Do it now. I mean, the answer should be yes. If if it makes you uncomfortable, the answer should be yes. Because who knows where that's going to go? I mean, honestly, by saying yes, I have transformed my entire life. And I didn't say yes. I said like, oh, if I have to. But I'm here now on the other side, living the life that I said I wanted and continuing to expand this into an amazing journey. Like, I am just so blessed and grateful every single day. And all of this, I truly believe, was allowed to happen and allowed to manifest because of all the things that I learned through the Year of You journey. And I'm continuing on that path. I'm continuing to enrich myself, evolve myself through our weekly calls and our regular interaction. I mean, I honestly would not have the same vehicles and abilities without that. And I think I'm just becoming a better person all around.
Yeah. We say that our world needs light workers. And yeah, you're a light worker, babe. You're out there doing the ripple effect of living in your authentic body and watching how joy can be spread in the world. Yeah. Any final thoughts, Dolly? Thank you for this conversation.
Just thank you. Thank you for what you continue to bring to all of us. Because honestly, without your guidance and friendship and uh, just these great opportunities and continued conversation, I mean, what an amazing gift you give to all of us by being there to put this out for us, to give us a venue, to lead us through these transformative life experiences. I mean, I'm at the stage now where sometimes it's like, okay, I just got to call Jill because I need some perspective. And I don't think I'd get it from anyone else in the same capacity. Because truthfully, you have the ability to look at a situation and present it back to not only make it easier, but to give us what we need to be able to move forward in ourselves in the best form of ourselves. And what an amazing gift you give to all of us. And thank you for being there for us.
Ooh, thank you. It's always hard to accept that kind of thank you. I also want to just say this summer we had a live event and Dolly's cohort met live because we do all our calls on Zoom. And so our weekly meetings are sort of just this 1 hour that you kind of clip out of your life and dedicate to connecting. And when I got to see all of you guys like together in real life, and since then we've had a baby shower for one of our members, and seeing you guys connected, like seeing all of us when we get to meet live is like really super special. Yeah.
You know what? One of the funniest things for me was the comment from all of us about each other was all, oh, I thought you'd be taller. Which
Do you
I
think
think
everyone's
is
still like 6 inches shorter?
which I think is so neat overall because it shows the impact that we all have on each other. The fact that we all think that we would take up so much more space in the world
Yeah.
because we have this incredible virtual friendship and engagement, and we spend all this time being vulnerable in a way we never would. I find it funny that the comment from all of us was, I thought you'd be taller.
We just assume that we're taking up more space. That's such a good metaphor. Oh man. My heart's full. Thank you so much for this conversation. I've been itching to have it with you and to have it be a part of the podcast because it's just fun. And when Dolly comes on a yoga retreat with you, she makes it like 1,000 times more exciting and fun too. So thanks for coming on yoga retreats. Yeah.
I can't wait for the next one. I'm waiting for details.
You were the one who kind of planned the last one. You were the one who sent me the link and said, I think we should do this, Jill. So maybe I'm just waiting for you.
We'll have to see.
Pressure. No
We'll
pressure.
have to see what I can do. But you never know. This Donna might be able to make it happen.
I'm counting on Donna. Thanks for being here, Dolly. Thanks for listening, everyone. Appreciate you. Have a really great life. Be interested, pay attention, explore, and do it now.